Hi, and welcome to Intentional Oversharing with me, your host, Neely Kimey. I have wanted to start a podcast for a very long time, probably since podcasts became a thing. I love to talk. I love to process things out loud. And so this feels like a really good way for me to connect with my audience, connect with more people. And I've been trying to get more comfortable with being on camera and more comfortable with essentially recording myself, talking to myself. um, so this will hopefully help me to get more comfortable with that. It feels really awkward and uncomfortable to me, but I'm really making it a point to approach this. I don't want this to be super scripted at all. I want it to be just kind of stream of consciousness. I don't know how riveting that will be. Time will tell, I suppose, but I got to start somewhere, right? So I have been listening to Ellie Middleton's podcast, Skip the Small Talk. Shout out to Ellie Middleton. She's great. And she talked about in the first episode that she'd been wanting to start a podcast, same as me. And she wanted to just do a shitty first draft and go from there, see how that went. So I'm kind of emulating that with this. This is my shitty first draft that will hopefully be the first episode. And I'm just figuring out podcasting as we go. I'm just figuring this out. I don't know what I'm doing. No one really knows what they're doing, right? So here we go. If you're curious what I plan on talking about, that's going to be all over the map. But if you have never heard of me before, hi again, I'm Neely, and I'm an AuDHD coach. So I coach people with ADHD and people that have ADHD and autism, and I help them to be more unapologetically themselves. I help them to essentially dismantle the neuronormative narratives that they have been saddled with against their will their entire lives. I work with a lot of late diagnosed and self-identified people, adults, and I just really think that neurodivergent people, broadly speaking, we have a lot to offer. And I want to be able to help people to see their greatness and to see what they have to offer and maybe explore some of the things that they have been convinced not to explore throughout their lives. Lots of experimentation, lots of practicing with each other. And so that's kind of been my whole deal. My business is called Weird and Wired, and I've been doing this for the coaching for a little over a year now, and it's been a transformative experience, to say the least. I adore what I do. I love what I do. I don't get the Sunday scaries anymore about work. I just love this work so much, and I love the people that I get to interact with and support. So, a little bit about me. Some other things I do, for those of you who aren't familiar with me. I host a weekly book club every Thursday, and we talk about neurodivergent books. So, books written by neurodivergent people about neurodivergent topics, primarily nonfiction and self-help type books. And been doing that for almost a year now, and it's been really great. It's introduced me to some really awesome people, and we have a lot of fun. I try really hard to make it a safe, inclusive, accessible space as much as possible. And yeah, it's really nice. So keep an eye out for that. I'm starting a new book in the end of January, early February, maybe. We're going to be talking about How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis, which is one of my favorite books overall. I recommend it to all of my clients. I think it's a really well written, well thought out exploration into dismantling the neuronormative narrative, essentially. Like, that's kind of what it boils down to, but executive functioning, executive dysfunction, exploring that kind of stuff. So excited to discuss that in a group capacity. I also host, right now I host body doubling sessions every weekday. So that's another thing that's pretty cool. It's a growing community of neurodivergent folks just supporting each other, getting some stuff done together. We check in every weekday. It's been really nice. And yeah, so I've been kind of mulling over this past several days what I'm going to talk about in this first episode. And this has really been kind of a barrier to entry for me because I overthink everything. Hi, it's me. I'm overthinking all the time. And I am very concerned about people kind of over analyzing, or like, I don't know, just taking what I say and ripping it apart, essentially. And I know that that's inevitable. And I don't want that to be something that keeps me from putting myself out there. I have to put myself out there. You know, I have a business to run. I, you know, I'm spreading a message. I'm kind of on a mission, essentially. And I have to put myself out there, you know? I have to. I don't have a choice. And I definitely want to, but it's scary as fuck. It's super scary. So if you are listening to this and you're like, I want to put myself out there, but it's scary, please know you're not alone. I feel exactly the same way. Throughout this past year, I have done a lot of putting myself out there. I have done a lot of saying yes to things, even when I don't feel like I'm ready to say yes. And maybe especially if I don't feel like I'm ready to say yes. But what I've also learned by saying yes is that I don't always have to say yes to everything. Just because it sounds like a good idea, or it sounds like it would benefit me in some way, if it's not appealing to me, if I'm not excited about it, I don't have to do it. You know, I don't have to do it. I don't, even if it's an opportunity that's like that most people would kill for, or something, you know, something like that. Most people would love that opportunity. If it's not speaking to me, and if I don't feel if I don't feel excited about it, I don't have to do it. And I think that part of my unmasking journey has been getting in better touch with what I actually want to do, and not always prioritizing what I think I should do, not always prioritizing what other people are suggesting that I do. Because I've always been like this teacher's pet type of person. Growing up, I was always a teacher's pet. I always got along with my teachers a lot more than my peers. I was called an old soul. Does any of this sound familiar? And part of that, as I got older, I started to like branch out and try new things and explore things a little bit. And I got this habit of just doing it, just saying yes, just doing stuff, trying stuff. And I think that was I learned a lot from doing that, and that was great overall. But now I'm reaching this kind of phase of my life where it's time for me to be more selective. You know, it's time for me to be more picky about who and what gets my energy and time, because energy and time and effort are all precious resources, especially to neurodivergent folks, to people with ADHD and or autism. Energy is precious. And I don't want to stretch myself too thin doing shit that I don't care about, y'all. Like, I've done so many things that I don't care about. I didn't care about it to begin with, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to do whatever the fuck I want to do. So we'll say that's the vibe I'm going into 2025 with. So yeah, I'm hoping to, with this podcast, like I said, process things. It's going to kind of be like a journal. My goal isn't to go viral. My goal isn't, I don't know. I want attention. I like attention naturally, but I don't want any and all attention that is out there to get. So if this just stays like a small little thing with me and you, the listener, I'm okay with that. If anything I say resonates with you, I would love that. You'll hear me probably say over and over, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So if I'm talking about something and you can't relate to it, skip ahead. If you're over hearing me just ramble about something, I'm not going to know if you skipped ahead. I'm not going to know, you know, just, I want you to get out of this anything that you can. So yeah, I am never going to, I don't like saying that I'm an expert on anything. So you're not going to really hear me say that I'm some expert on AuDHD or some expert on coaching. I'm still learning. I'm learning every day. I am growing and evolving every day. I've grown more in the last year and definitely in the last 2 years than I've ever grown before in my life. And I'm still doing that. I'm embracing that. And yeah, I'm not going to say, you're not going to hear me say I'm an expert about anything. I never want to lead you astray, but I also am like a normal person and I generalize things, and it's easier to speak sometimes in generalizations, and not everything I talk about is going to matter to you. Not everything I want to talk about will be relevant to your life. And that's not, I'm just talking, I'm just blabbing. I'm just intentionally oversharing about my life. And I hope that you find it entertaining. I hope that you find it maybe interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell, I guess. And there's no way for me to know if you want to hear what I have to say unless I fucking do this, right? And here I am doing it. So, quick little disclaimer, I live in an RV full time with my wife, Becca, who you will hear me talk about a lot. And we have 2 dogs. This is one of the dogs, Stevie. If you're watching the video of this, my dog Stevie is right here. I have a dog named Rowan, and I have a cat named Goldeline. We live in an RV full time. We don't travel in it. It's stationary, and it can be kind of loud in here. I have the noise cancellation on, but I have like a fan on so I don't overheat or melt. I live in Texas, so melting is a concern. But I have like fans on in here. I have an air purifier on. I have a dehumidifier on, just to keep things like a homeostasis in our little home. So hopefully this recording turns out okay. There isn't too much white noise in the background. And if there is, I hope it's not too distracting or bothersome. We're figuring it out, y'all. We're figuring it out, okay? And I don't want to record this multiple times. I'm not into that. Hopefully this is my final first draft. You feel me? But yeah. So, also other things I'm going to talk about on this podcast is ketamine assisted therapy. I've been doing that kind of, I might say like microdosing under the care of a physician or a prescriber for the last 2.5 years. So I'm definitely going to talk about that. That's been huge for me. I'm definitely going to talk about therapy as someone who receives therapy. So I do IFS, internal family systems, and EMDR with my amazing therapist. And so I'll talk about that stuff. I'll talk about exploring my inner child. I'm going to talk about some woo-woo shit. If you're into woo-woo shit, like human design, I'm learning about astrology right now. I'm doing tarot stuff, like witchy stuff. I've been listening religiously to the first season of the telepathy tapes. Who knows? Who knows what this will turn into? But I have lots of stuff that I like to talk about and I want to share it with you all. So this is the start of that. What else did I want to say for this first episode? I don't know. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't have like some crazy huge following on social media. I have a very strange and complicated relationship with social media, and LinkedIn is where I have the most followers, or like the largest audience, I guess. And so you might have found me through that. Hi. LinkedIn is my favorite social media platform, and that's cringe, and I don't care. I have met some of the most wonderful, amazing people on there, and made lifelong friends on that platform. So I'm always gonna, I might have my own personal issues with some of the way that things operate on there as a social media platform for sure. But the people I've met on there, the community that I've built on there, man, that shit is A1. Like, I love it. And I know I'm not going to be able to find something like the same level of support and community on any other platform. So, shout out to my LinkedIn friends, and like find me on LinkedIn, follow me, connect with me, whatever you want to do. I'm into it. Hit me up. I don't really like the DMs of most platforms, but I don't like DMs on LinkedIn. I might or might not respond to your DM. And I really want you to know that that's nothing personal. If you blow me up and send me a bunch of DMs, I'll probably run away from that. So there's just a heads up there. But like, if you say something to me and I don't respond, it's because I'm avoiding the DMs. And if you want to say something else to me later, I won't, like, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be bothered by that, Like, I might respond at that point if you say something else. So also complicated relationships with the DMs, but they can get really overwhelming. And as soon as things start to become what feels like an obligation, I'm like, mission abort now. Like, I don't want the DMs to be an obligation. I want them to be a time to connect with people when I want to connect with people. And I don't always want to do that, if I'm being real. If we're all being real, we don't always want to do that. And I don't want to be accessible to everybody at all times. I'm not into that. So, I guess sorry in advance, but also I don't mean anything by it. It's not, no hard feelings. Like, no, it's not personal. I promise. I swear it's not personal. Yeah. I have like a long drawn out about me page on my website, which is weird-wired.com. A lot of people say that my about me page resonates with them. Feel free to check it out. It's just a bit about my neurodivergent journey. And I'm going to be talking about that. I'll probably at least have an episode dedicated to sharing my experience with neurodivergence, discovering my diagnoses, kind of navigating all of that. So look forward to hearing more about Neely lore in that way, but you can get a taste of that on my website. And yeah, I don't really know what this will turn into, but I know that I've wanted to do it for so long now that I think it's going to be worth just breaking ground, just getting started. And maybe I'll have like guests on here. I hope to explore different topics and stuff, but it'll probably just be me sitting on my couch with a dog or two, um, rambling about stuff and figuring things out. And actually before I try to wrap up, I was originally wanting to call this podcast Getting Over Yourself, or Getting Over Yourself with Neely. There were already a couple of other podcasts with similar names. So Intentional Oversharing wasn't taken, and I like this as well. But I just wanted to share a little bit about why Getting Over Yourself was my original name. So something that I've realized has held me back a lot throughout my life is this, like, essentially just being like, thinking I'm too cool for things. So, thinking that I'm too old to play with toys, or thinking that like I've grown out of this, or I can't listen to this kind of music because that's lame, or whatever. I'm too cool for this, too cool for that. And that's not because I actually have ever thought that I was very cool necessarily, but it's like me trying to play into what I think other people think is cool or not, or what I think might let me stand out from other people or whatever. Because we have to be different, right? We have to be unique and different and special and blah blah blah. So I've let that hold me back from things. I've let it hold me back from watching movies that I ended up really liking. I've let that hold me back from listening to music that I ended up falling in love with. I've let it hold me back from a lot of different, like trying different things because I think I'm too cool, or for whatever reason I shouldn't, or I can't, or whatever. And so this idea of getting over myself, just getting over that, getting over this need to be cool or to I don't know, do what I feel like I'm supposed to or what other people think I should do. Getting over myself is like kind of the way that I conceptualize that in my mind, is like, you know, I wouldn't have all the fidget toys and stim toys and some of like the music I'm into, and I wouldn't have some of like the accommodations I've gotten for myself if I was so concerned about being cool or being an adult or meh, whatever that means, whatever the fuck that means. No. Being professional. Ew. I hate that. I hate these words that force us into boxes. So getting over myself, that's what that means for me. And with this intentional oversharing, it almost like it's going to encompass that, me like getting over myself. Maybe it'll help you get over yourself, open your mind a bit to certain things. Yeah, that's all I hope for. Like that we're just playing around, experimenting together, hopefully. So cool. Just wanted to explain a little bit about that and the name. Also with intentional oversharing, there's a couple of different meanings behind that. So intentional oversharing in the sense of like I'm oversharing and I know it. I'm doing that on purpose. But also like being somewhat intentional. I don't want to, you know, take myself too seriously or anything like that. But what I am going to be oversharing about will be intentional to some degree, at least. So that's kind of what I mean with that. I love to encourage my fellow neurodivergent adults to overshare in safe spaces that they can find where they can do that safely, around people that understand them and accept them, because I love it when people overshare with me. I love it. There's no such thing as oversharing or TMI. Like, I mean, lay it on me, you know? Like, I love a good info dump. I love when people get excited to talk about their special interests. I want more of that. I want more of the passion. I want to like celebrate when I'm feeling passionate about something. I want to just like lean into that. I want others to do the same thing. Yeah, I love that shit. So cool. I think that pretty much covers it. I don't really want to have really, really long drawn out episode lengths. But we'll see. We'll just see what happens. We're just fucking around. Okay. Anyway, this has been the first episode of Intentional Oversharing with Neely Kimey, your host. Find me on LinkedIn at Neely Kimey is my handle on there. Find me on TikTok, Weird Wired Coach. Find me on the internet in general, weird-wired.com. I'll put links in the episode description. But here we go, y'all. I did the thing. Like, imagine what all we're going to do together. I don't know. I'm excited. Okay. Love you. Goodbye.